Welcome back to the channel BBC Rare Coins. We're diving into one of the most iconic coins in American history, the Washington Quarter Dollar. From its origins during the Great Depression to the state and national park designs that captured collectors' hearts, this little coin has a big story to tell. Top 1. You're looking at what might be the most unbelievable coin story in U.S. history, a regular-looking 1965 Washington Quarter Dollar that sold for an absolutely jaw-dropping $67,000. That's right, not a gold coin, not a colonial-era artifact, just a standard quarter, 25 cents, that ended up being one of the most valuable modern coins ever discovered. At first glance, it looks like every other Washington quarter you've seen. Same design, same year. But what lies beneath the surface is what turns this little piece of metal into a collector's dream. Let's take a deep dive into the fascinating world of the 1965 quarter that shocked collectors, shook up the coin world, and made someone tens of thousands of dollars richer, all because of a tiny historic mistake. To understand why this coin is so valuable, we need to go back in time to the early 1960s. Up until 1964, U.S. quarters were made of 90% silver. Beautiful coins, heavier in hand, and worth more because of the precious metal content. But by 1965, the price of silver had soared. The government could no longer afford to mint coins out of real silver for everyday circulation. So, in that year, the U.S. Mint transitioned to what we now call clad coins, a sandwich of copper and nickel. These new coins looked similar, but they weren't silver. They were cheaper to produce and didn't carry the same melt value. Here's the twist. Even though the mint officially stopped producing silver quarters after 1964, a few silver planchets, that is, blank metal discs meant for coins, were somehow left in the machinery during the switch. These leftover 1964 silver planchets were accidentally used to strike some 1965 dated quarters, and just like that, a mint error was born. Only a few of these 1965 quarters were struck on silver planchets. They weren't meant to exist, but they did. They slipped out of the mint undetected and entered circulation. Most likely, no one noticed at the time. After all, they look nearly identical to the new copper-nickel coins. But collectors today? They know exactly what to look for. And when one of these rare error coins turns up, it can be worth a small fortune. Let's talk about the $67,000 quarter specifically. This wasn't just any 1965 silver error. This was one in mint state condition, meaning it was in almost perfect shape. Sharp details, no wear, full luster, exactly what collectors dream of. That's extremely rare for any coin from circulation, let alone one with such a bizarre and historic error. The buyer who shelled out over 67 grand wasn't just buying a coin. They were buying a one-of-a-kind mistake that represents a unique moment in U.S. minting history. It's a crossover between a historical artifact, a silver relic, and a collector's trophy. Now let's talk identification. Could you be holding one of these rare 1965 silver quarters without even knowing it? It's possible. Start by checking the weight. A clad quarter should weigh around 5.67 grams. But a silver quarter? That'll weigh closer to 6.25 grams. That difference may sound small, but on a precise coin scale, it's the clue that could change everything. Then there's the edge of the coin. Clad quarters have a visible copper-colored line when viewed from the side. Silver quarters? Pure, clean, and gray all the way through. Some coin collectors also use the ring test. Drop the coin gently on a hard surface, silver makes a high-pitched ringing sound. Clad coins sound flatter, duller. It's not foolproof, but when combined with weight and edge checks, it helps raise suspicion. And if you think you've got something special, get it professionally graded. Companies like PCGS or NGC can authenticate and grade your coin, and if it's legit, you might be sitting on a treasure. So how rare are these silver 1965 quarters? We're talking extremely rare. Only a few confirmed examples exist, and every time one shows up in top condition, it makes headlines in the coin world. It's the kind of coin that transforms regular people into passionate collectors. The kind of coin that makes you check every quarter in your wallet, just in case. What's even crazier is that this isn't some ancient, obscure coin from a museum. This is a quarter from the 1960s modern money. Your parents might have spent one. You might have had one in your pocket as a kid. That's what makes this story so fascinating. Hidden treasure could be anywhere, in a coin jar, a drawer, an old coat pocket. And it only takes one. So next time you get change at the grocery store or dig through your coin collection, pay attention. Because that average-looking 1965 quarter might not be so average after all. You could be holding history. You could be holding silver. You could be holding $67,000. And that is the story of the most expensive and rare Washington quarter dollar from 1965. A tiny mistake that became a massive payday. Keep your eyes open. The next one might be yours. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with your fellow collectors and curious minds. Who knows, someone out there might just find the next viral quarter worth tens of thousands. Top 2. You're not going to believe this. A 1972 Washington quarter, a coin that looks almost identical to every other one in your change jar, once sold for an unbelievable $62,000. That's right, $62,000 for a coin most people wouldn't even glance at twice. No gold, no diamonds, no ancient history, just a rare, modern quarter that turned into one of the most valuable and talked about coins in U.S. history. This is the kind of story that gets collectors fired up and casual coin hunters suddenly checking every quarter they've got. Because the truth is, these rare coins, these freak accidents of the minting world, are still out there. They're not locked up in museums. They're not lost to time. Some of them are sitting in jars, drawers, pockets, and purses right now, hiding in plain sight. And the 1972 quarter that went viral for its massive price tag is one of the wildest examples. Let's talk about why this specific quarter is so valuable. First, it's important to know that in 1972, quarters were no longer made of silver. The U.S. Mint had already transitioned to the copper-nickel-clad coins in 1965. So by the time 1972 rolled around, all quarters were supposed to be the same copper-nickel, machine-struck, regular circulation coins. But just like any high-volume production line, mistakes can happen. And when those mistakes happen at the U.S. Mint, they can turn an ordinary coin into a six-figure treasure point. One of the rarest and most expensive 1972 Washington quarters known was struck with a dramatic mint error, and this is what made it so incredibly valuable. In this case, the coin was double-struck, off-center, or possibly even struck on the wrong planchet, meaning it was created on a blank that wasn't even meant for a quarter. These kinds of errors don't just happen every day, and most of the time, if the mint notices, the coin gets melted down before it ever reaches the public. But every now and then, one escapes. And that's exactly what happened here. This coin, despite being from a common year, was discovered in pristine condition, with a rare and dramatic minting mistake that makes it one of a kind. It was professionally graded, authenticated, and sold at auction to a serious collector for a whopping $62,000. That's life-changing money for something that started its life as a piece of everyday currency. So what should you be looking for if you're checking your own 1972 quarters? First, examine the coin closely. Look for anything strange, off-center designs, doubled images, missing features, or strange coloration. Sometimes these rare coins are struck on planchets meant for other denominations, like a penny or a dime. That changes the size, weight, or metal content. A quarter that's too light or too small could be a major clue. Errors like off-metal strikes, brockages, double dies, and wrong planchets are rare, but incredibly valuable when verified. Collectors go crazy for these coins, not just because they're rare, but because they represent something almost mythological. A perfect accident. A coin that was never supposed to exist, never meant to survive, and somehow ended up in the hands of an average person. That's what drives the value sky high. Now imagine you're holding that quarter. You take it to a dealer. They weigh it, inspect it, and tell you, you've got a rare mint error. You get it graded, sent to auction, and it sells for tens of thousands of dollars. That's not a dream. That's exactly what happened with the 1972 quarter that sold for $62,000. One coin, one mistake, one incredible payday. It's stories like this that keep collectors searching, year after year, coin after coin. Because lightning doesn't just strike once. There could be more of these coins out there. In fact, the next one could be in your hands right now. This isn't just about coin collecting. It's about treasure hunting in everyday life. It's about knowing that value can hide in plain sight. That a single overlooked coin could be your ticket to something huge. That's the magic of numismatics, the study and collection of coins, where history, mystery, and money collide in the palm of your hand. So if you've got a 1972 Washington quarter, don't ignore it. Check it. Study it. Weigh it. Look for errors. Because while most quarters are worth exactly 25 cents, a rare few are worth enough to change your life. That's the story of the $62,000 1972 Washington quarter. The coin that proved that not all treasure is buried underground. Some of it's in your pocket, just waiting to be discovered. Top 3. You won't believe what I'm about to tell you. A regular 1990 Washington quarter, the kind you've probably used in a vending machine or tossed in a drawer without thinking twice, sold for an astonishing $57,000. That's right, $57,000 for a coin that was only supposed to be worth 25 cents. This isn't a joke. This isn't a rumor. This is one of the most mind-blowing discoveries in modern coin collecting history. Let's talk about why this happened. Why would a seemingly ordinary 1990 quarter sell for the price of a luxury car? It comes down to a rare mint error, extreme scarcity, and the kind of flawless condition that makes collectors go absolutely wild. But before we dig into the details, let's set the stage. In 1990, the US Mint was producing hundreds of millions of quarters. These were everyday coins meant for circulation, not for collectors, not for silver stacking, not for show. These coins were made of copper nickel, mass-produced, and supposed to be exactly the same. But in the high-speed, high-pressure world of coin production, mistakes happen. Rare, incredible, and valuable mistakes. The most valuable 1990 Washington quarter wasn't just rare, it was a once-in-a-generation mint error. We're talking about a coin that was either struck on the wrong planchet, or possibly had a dramatic off-center strike, double strike, or missing clad layer. These kinds of errors aren't common, and when they happen, most are caught and destroyed at the mint. But every now and then, one escapes. It makes its way out into the world, ends up in someone's pocket, maybe even spent at a gas station or tucked into a change jar, completely unnoticed. Years later, someone with a good eye or a lucky day finds it. They notice the weight is off, or the edge looks strange, or something just feels different. They take it to a professional. It gets authenticated, graded, and then it hits the auction block. That's exactly what happened here. The 1990 quarter that sold for $57,000 wasn't just a mint error. It was in mint state, pristine condition, with a rare and highly desirable mistake that made it truly one of a kind. There might not be another like it. It became an instant legend in the coin collecting world. Articles were written. Forums exploded. Collectors lined up with their own 1990 quarters hoping for a miracle. So what exactly should you look for? If you've got a 1990 Washington quarter, pay close attention. Check the weight. A standard 1990 quarter should weigh about 5.67 grams. If yours is heavier or lighter, that's a red flag and maybe a jackpot. Look at the rim and edge. Is there a copper stripe showing? If not, it could be missing the clad layer. That's rare. Next, inspect the design. Is anything off-center? Doubled? Faint? Cracked? All of these could point to mint errors that raise the value of your coin drastically. Then there's condition. The higher the grade, the higher the price. A regular 1990 quarter with a small error in rough condition might fetch a few bucks. But a mint condition error coin, especially one with a dramatic mistake, can go for tens of thousands. Just like the one that sold $4.57,000. This coin is a perfect example of how ordinary money can hide extraordinary value. Coins like this are rare, but they're out there. And they prove one thing beyond a doubt. You should always check your change. Always look twice at that old stash of coins. Because lightning doesn't just strike once. It can strike again. Maybe in your pocket. Imagine you've had this coin for years, completely unaware. Maybe it sat in a coin jar. Maybe it traveled through dozens of hands before someone noticed it. That's the thrill of the hunt. That's the beauty of coin collecting, not just old, dusty coins and albums, but real treasure that could be anywhere, even in your own house. This isn't just a story about money. It's a story about history, about rarity, about being in the right place at the right time. The 1990 Washington quarter that sold for $57,000 didn't start out special. It became special because of a moment of imperfection, a mechanical glitch, a minting slip, a one-in-a-million accident that turned into a life-changing discovery. So here's the question. Do you have one? Have you ever checked your 1990 quarters? Because you never know, your next grocery store quarter could be the next record breaker, the next viral coin, the next headline, the next $57,000 surprise. If you're a collector, keep searching. If you're just curious, go grab that jar of coins. You might be sitting on a gold mine and not even know it. Because hidden among billions of ordinary quarters, a few extraordinary ones are still waiting to be found. That's the legend of the 1990 Washington quarter, a 25-cent piece that became a $57,000 sensation. Keep your eyes open. The next big discovery could be in your pocket right now.